So it's the last day of the CrossFit Games and event 1 has already happened. Laura Horvarth and Jeff Adler won and Pat Vellner might be back on the podium. As you know, I've been following like the fan favourites through the competition instead of focusing on who's winning, because we know CrossFit is going to do that anyway. Those people have been Laura, Katrin, Annie, a little bit of Gabby, and then also Patrick Vellner, Brent Fikowski, Chandler Smith, some of BKG, and also Justin Medeiros. As a fan of the sport and a recreational CrossFitter, I am most interested in the stories behind the athletes and the athletes that are kind of going through struggles and then overcome them. That is more inspiring to me than people that are just like winning and like dominant across the sport. Obviously, like Tia is an example of that. She was very inspiring in her own way, and obviously in the way that she just won everything forever. But I don't know, it's just something about the people that struggle, like Annie that went off and had a baby and then came back and crushed it, or Chandler that's had a turbulent few years and then he's come back to the games this year and he's doing really well. Pat Vellner that every single year he ends up digging himself a massive hole and then clawing his way out of it towards the end of the competition, which he has done again this year. I like Fikowski and the way he thinks about the workouts and the way he plans them, and I like Laura because she's got a body type that is less common in the sport, and a couple of years ago when I was really struggling with gaining weight and my body image, she really helped me kind of get out of that and realise that it's okay for my body to look whatever way it looks when I'm healthy. And she's also like a super strong, powerful woman, and that inspires me generally. And Katrin's another one that's faced a lot of adversity and she's come back from it. In sports, I'm always very inspired by like the underdog stories. Like one of my favourite quotes is from the movie Eddie the Eagle, and it's in the bit where he's going up the elevator. I'll show you it if I can find it. It's just not necessarily about the winning or the losing, and I think those of you that have competed like me are aware of that. Like sometimes it's just about pushing yourself outside your comfort zone and getting better at certain things. Like the smile on Katrin's face yesterday when she got that rope climb after failing a couple of them. It can be about doing your best, enjoying the experience, and not necessarily about the winning. And for me, I never, even in like the small local comps that I did, I never found fulfillment in winning competitions, even though I ended up on the podium in a lot of them. That was never what made me love CrossFit. What made me love CrossFit was the community, being involved in competitions, doing competitions with people of different levels of ability, just having fun. And that's like a big takeaway from this experience for me. I've noticed that a lot of the athletes have a lot of similar struggles to us, just on a completely different level with a whole lot more pressure. I also hope that me doing these videos has helped you realise that if you're wondering whether you can go to the CrossFit Games, if you struggle with anxiety and being around large crowds, or if you feel like you might not fit in because of your body size or your body image, because I know there are a lot of people that feel like that, and I was definitely one of them. This message that it's the fittest crowd on earth is kind of perpetuated, and there are loads of people that look like me, lots of different people with bodies of different shapes and sizes here, loads of brands that do inclusive clothing. This is LSKD. I mean, Noble is not one of those, but we won't talk about that. There's something for everyone here, and there's no right way to do the CrossFit Games. So if you want to go at some point in the future, I hope this has inspired you to buy the ticket and go, no matter where that is next year. And I think we might find that out today. I hope we do. I've been really struggling to look after myself because when I struggle with my mental health and I get stressed, I stop eating and sleeping properly. I had a bit of a reality check the other day and I've got back on top of it, and I've been eating, drinking properly again, and I'm feeling a lot better. And I've also been not watching every single event. I'm far too English to be out in that sun, especially in the heat at the moment, and I've just given myself permission to skip the events that I feel like might not be as exciting or are outside. It looks like the leaderboard has been shaken up a lot this morning. I'm really hoping in the next couple of workouts, they've not been released yet, but I'm hoping there'll be some sort of barbells. We've not seen a lot of like repping heavy barbells. We haven't seen a lot of barbell cycling, full stop. We've seen a hell of a lot of heavy objects, to the point where it almost feels like CrossFit strongman. Like we've seen sandbags twice, we've seen the pig. This morning they had the big log things that you had to get over. I would consider double kettlebells almost like an odd object. They're definitely an unusual movement. And I know this is the CrossFit Games and we expect to have a lot of things that are outside of their comfort zone and things that are very different, but it's almost like every single event this this year has been different. We've not had much like classic CrossFit. Like Helena, that was probably like a classic CrossFit workout. Or Helena, I think it was Helena. But other than that, we've not really seen a lot that is totally classic CrossFit. Like even in the box jump workout, there was really big boxes. But it certainly keeps things interesting anyway. But fingers crossed for some barbell cycling in the last 2 workouts. I'm not cycling in today. I had to race back to hand in my bike. So this morning I'm going to get an Uber in and I will see you in the Coliseum. Let's go. The crop top is back. Nick Matthew is wearing his crop top for the last event. He has tied it in a knot on the back, and that's because apparently he was told that he wasn't allowed to cut his jerseys, but we're glad to see it, and so was the crowd. It was also Noah Olsen's 10th year here, and he has announced that he's going to be going team next year, and he's going to try and go for the gold medal in the team division, which will be really exciting. It was lovely to see him celebrating with his family at the end of this workout.
Brent, fikowski. In lane 7, race 4, Chandler Smith. In lane 4, race 3rd, Patrick Vellner. Race 2nd, Roman Krenikov. In lane number 5, your new number 1 athlete, Jeffrey Adler.
At this point, we'd all realised that Roman Krenikov had hurt his foot. He'd actually broken his foot, and he was allowed to continue even though he was injured, which I think he obviously deserves to continue because he had worked so hard for the whole weekend. But then there is some questions around whether he should have been allowed because of the semi-final withdrawals and also people being withdrawn during the games because of injuries. But it was absolutely heartbreaking to see him on the floor trying to do single leg double unders and not to see him at his full capacity as we've seen him for the rest of the weekend. It was also so inspiring to just see him carry on despite obviously being in quite a lot of pain, and to do all of the double unders single leg, to do all of the sled pulls single leg. That was amazing. At this point, I think Brent Fikowski realised that he could potentially get on the podium if he pushed, and he definitely pushed really hard in this workout. He actually ended up winning this workout, and I wonder if it was because he was trying hard to get back on that podium. He also gave like a really emotional interview after this workout as well, and he spoke about how hard Roman had worked, and it was really nice to see that as well. He clearly feels bad for Roman too.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Number 7, put your hands together for Chandler Smith.
Second overall, horvarth. And in lane number 5. The spread is on the table here as these athletes come up to test number 11.
Laura had said earlier on the day that she definitely wants to win this competition, and you could really see it today. She was pushing so hard to try and get back on that top spot, and she inspires me for so many different reasons, and it was amazing to see her give it her absolute all. And she can be so dominant in some workouts when she just gives it everything. I don't know if this is going to work. I'm sat right by a work entrance, so it might be really noisy. So I showed you my food as I ordered it. I'll show you what I got, what I actually ended up getting, because I added a load of salad to it. I think I hit the jackpot with that stand. They had cheese curds, which I haven't tried yet. They also just had like a load of salad options you can add to burgers, but I love salad, so I basically made an extra salad. So messy though, oh my god. And I've got like red wurst, is it called? It's like a bratwurst, but a red version. Ironically, obviously I went to the Berlin semi-finals, so I tried real German bratwurst recently. So it'll be interesting to see what this one's like. So messy. That's really good. I think I prefer that actually to the German ones. Alright, probably need to try a cheese curd, don't I? Oh my god, that's so good. I couldn't manage to eat them all. I've left like 4 of them. They're quite sickly. They're really good. I really enjoyed like the first few. I'm really glad I put the salad with it though, because they are so sickly. Just like eating a lot of cheese, isn't it? I wouldn't eat that amount of cheese normally. In the workout, Roman Korenikov has broken his foot. This was in the log workout that happened this morning. It was so heartbreaking to see him like hobble on and still attempt. Actually super inspiring to see him continue to do the workout, even doing double unders on one leg. And his speech at the end was absolutely heartbreaking. I was definitely in tears watching that, and I think a lot of people in the crowd were also in tears. Brent Fikowski could now end up on the podium because obviously Roman's not going to be performing at his best ability and Brent isn't far out. He also went away with a win in that event, and I think he knew that that could have been a possibility before that event started because they all knew what Roman was going through. Brent gave a very emotional interview afterwards saying how he felt for Roman, and that was actually really sweet. He was almost getting like a little bit teared up himself as well. Martin's not here, but we've been chatting a lot because a lot of stuff comes up on the live stream that we don't get told in the stadium, so I'm using him as my like information. He basically said that single leg double unders are going to be in either the Open or the CrossFit Games next year in response to Roman obviously having to do the whole workout single leg double unders. I totally believed him, and then it turned out to be totally fake, and he was just telling me that he thought it was a really good idea, and I was like, no, you're my information from the live stream. He made me think that they'd announced it on the live stream, but they haven't. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. It would be very CrossFit. On the women's side, I'm not sure why Danielle Brandon is so low, but I think it could be something to do with the fact that the field just seems really stacked this year. There seems to be a lot of very good people, and it's almost like they've had a full year of knowing that Tyr's not going to be competing, and they've just upped their game. If you knew you had the possibility of winning, you would try super hard in your training in order to get on that podium, and it seems like a lot of the women's side have done that this year, and in fact a lot of the men's side as well. There just seems to be a much higher standard, and the people that we expect to be in the top are not necessarily making it to the top. And actually I find that really exciting, and it's good that every single point counts, every placing counts, and it makes it more fun to watch. Laura now clearly wants to win this, and I think we knew that anyway after her interview the other day when she said she came here to win, and she got knocked off the top spot and now she's basically fighting to get back. And you could tell in that workout because she went full send and crushed everybody like she does. It seems like she's got some real strengths where she can just annihilate everybody else in the field, but then she's got a couple of weaknesses as well where she doesn't finish as high as she could do with finishing, and it's unfortunate that you don't get like any more points for finishing so far ahead of people, because in those workouts where she does completely dominate, you're still only going to get first. Katrin had quite a high finish in that workout as well. She's doing really well. Annie was further down in the pack, but not so far down that it's going to be a huge issue. I don't think Annie or Katrin will get on the podium at this rate. They're just people that I find really inspiring to watch, and I love Katrin's attitude. She's grown on me so much over the years as well, since like she's been through some of the adversity that she's been through, and the same with Annie, like being a mum and coming back to the games and like lifting as much as she does and still placing like within the top 10. That's an incredible feat. Gabby Magala's been really impressive as well. She was making a bit of a move in that last workout. She finished with quite a high place too, and I think she was in 6th before that workout, so she might have moved up a little bit now. I think one thing's super clear is there are a lot of very young athletes coming up through into the sport and doing really well, and they're probably gonna end up dominating the podium. It's interesting that Emma Lawson isn't talked about as much as Mal O'Brien because they're basically the same age, and a friend pointed this out to me and it doesn't make any sense, apart from the fact that she's apparently Canadian, which I didn't realise, but maybe it's just because they like support Americans more or talk about them more, because she's just as successful as Mal O'Brien, but there hasn't been as much media or as much pressure put on Emma Lawson. Maybe that's a good thing though, because Mal obviously had to withdraw because of her mental well-being, which probably came from all the pressure. So I was saying earlier that we've had a lot of objects and not very much else, and we do have some barbell cycling in the last one. There's going to be some thrusters in there, which will be good to see them do some barbell cycling, but I feel like there should have been more. Have we had like 3 sled pulls? I swear, like there was a sled pull in the last workout, there was a sled pull and push in the alpaca, and then I think there was another sled as well. It just seems like a lot of sled work and a lot of odd objects, more like it's like strongman with a bit of fitness and gymnastics thrown in. Let me know what you think about the programming this year, and I'm gonna head in, get rid of the last of my cheese curds and let's watch this last workout. I can't believe it's the end already, that's crazy. It's not as hot outside today as well, so I'm surviving. It's been incredible to watch Justin all week. As I said in the last video, he has been like the epitome of the man in the arena, if you know that quote. Also, I did notice he seems to have like a red patch on one of his ribs the entire time. I do wonder if he's going to come out over the next few days and say that he maybe broke a rib after that first workout or has some sort of sustained injury. That would be really understandable. It sounds like he took quite a nasty fall, and obviously that would impact your performance across the rest of the week. Equally, it could just be like his training didn't go the way he wanted it to, or something else might be going on. He's still an absolutely incredible athlete for showing up and giving it his all, despite the criticism that some people might be throwing at him. He still deserves respect, and he's still an incredible human being for doing exactly what he did this week. I just want to note how incredible Olivia did in this workout, and her and Jacob Heppner had a chat before, and in his rookie year he finished 17th, and she was like, I want to beat that, and she actually did end up beating that. And I think it was partially to do with this workout and how well she did in this workout, and you can see how proud he is of her at the end. I don't know whether Brent just went too fast too early, but he clearly tried really hard at the start and then he seemed to slow up towards the end. It was on the lunges. I'm not sure whether he got no repped by his judge. It kind of looked like he was being no repped, but he ended up going from first in this workout to a bit lower down, and I do wonder if he'd come first he might have been able to end up on that podium. Obviously that meant that Roman could end up on the podium instead, which I think he fully deserved given his performance across the weekend. But then there's also the controversy around should he been able to still compete, especially when many other athletes have been withdrawn with injuries. And either way, like, this whole performance was so emotional, and Roman's interview after was so emotional. There was not a dry eye in the house. That's it, it's over. I'm back. And yes, I'm making tea. It's not like English tea. I don't actually like English tea. I know I'm English, but it's echinacea, elderberry and echinacea tea, which I have at home. Oh my god, where to start? That was emotional. I cried so many times. Mainly like seeing Roman Korenikov and like how proud he was, and also how sad he was to not be like winning it. He could have won it. I think maybe Adler would have taken it anyway. I'm not entirely sure. It was clear it was very emotional. Most of the crowd was crying along with me. Nothing has prepared me for how emotional this weekend was going to be. Firstly, I just loved watching Laura absolutely dominate that competition. I kind of knew as soon as there was going to be barbells that she was going to smash that, and she probably knew where she needed to finish as well in order to place first. She seemed to be pacing herself, and I think she just knew who she needed to finish in front of in order to take the win. And she seemed like she was like looking around a little bit, and she took a bit of a breather before the lunges. I think she just knew that she was safe to do that. Katrin's performance was a bit of a surprise to me, honestly. I didn't think she was going to do that well, but she was incredible in that last workout. That last event was just a really cool race to watch, and it was sad to see Roman Korenikov on the bike and not competing competing. There's a little bit of controversy surrounding that situation. If you think back to the semi-finals, there were a lot of athletes that were pulled out because they had shoulder injuries and they were showing up on the competition floor still kind of attempting to do the ring muscle ups, like doing a couple of reps, but they got pulled out and like medically withdrawn. And they didn't have broken bones. And in this scenario, Roman Kronikov had broken his foot and he wasn't medically withdrawn and he was allowed to continue. For Roman's sake, I like that he was able to continue. I think it would have been even more heartbreaking if he wasn't. However, if CrossFit are going to have a certain type of rule for withdrawing people out of competition for some people and then not for others, I think that's unfair. And there were also other athletes across the weekend that had injuries that were medically withdrawn to let Roman continue to compete with a broken foot and withdraw other people seems hypocritical. Let me know what you think about that. Personally, my thoughts are CrossFit needs to set a very standardized set of rules and just stick to them, and that is with everything. With withdrawing people, with equipment that you're allowed to wear and use, they should set the rule book at the start of the year and stick to that, and then they can just blame it on that. And then everybody knows going in exactly what they're signing up for. If they get an injury that's a certain level of severity, then they're going to get withdrawn, and that is just how it works. Because I can imagine Brent Fikowski, one space behind Roman, had they followed the rules that they followed for everybody else, Brent would be standing on that podium today. But having seen Roman compete all weekend, he really did deserve to be there, and it's absolutely incredible that even with like a 20th place finish in the last two events, he still ended up with a third. That just shows how dominant he's been through this competition. And also it would have been heartbreaking for him to have put in all of that hard work and leave with no prize money that he's probably worked for all year, and he definitely deserves. Emma Lawson got the youngest person to ever stand on the podium, which is amazing. I think Mal got that last year. Interestingly, Emma is younger than Mal and people weren't talking about her as much. Hopefully they will now, because she was smashing so many of those workouts this weekend. She was amazing and so inspiring. And speaking of inspiring, Laura's speech, I'm going to play a little bit of it for you.
You are a role model for athletes, for women, and especially for young girls looking at the sport who want to prove what they can do mentally and physically. How does it feel to you to be a role model for all of them?
It's a little bit of pressure, but I'm just very happy that me and my body can do this, and I'm not looking at the new Barbie movie. Oh, I want to look like that. I want to look like what I look like. And I just want to prove that my body, whatever it looks like, can do these amazing things and move things from A to B and run fast and lift heavy and all those things. And I'm just very excited that little girls and also teenagers look up to all these amazing girls that are here, because our bodies are not us, we are what's inside. And it's amazing what our bodies can do if you put the work in.
This is one of the main reasons I liked her, because she is a symbol for young girls and women and people that struggle with body image, that you can not care about any of that and do the sport you love. And her message that we're worth more than what our bodies look like, I mean, you know, that's very close to my message and what I believe in. She's so right. Doing the things you love are so much more important than trying to fit some beauty standard. She did reference the Barbie movie as like something that she's not trying to look like. Clearly she's not actually watched the Barbie movie, because if anything, the Barbie movie has like a similar message apart from the bit where they like demonize cellulite, but we won't talk about that. I just thought that was great. And I've heard that CrossFit has been streaming on ESPN. I'm English, I'm not quite sure what ESPN is. I think it's a channel on the TV that a lot of people watch sports on. And I've seen a couple of things that say that people have been watching it in bars, which is cool. So hopefully it means that more American people are able to watch it on their TV. And if more people were able to see that thing that she said, that specific message that she said, I think that could change lives and the way people look at themselves and sports they want to take part in. It could start to like change the culture. And also if like CrossFit has been on the TV again, that could bring in an influx of a lot of people into the sport. That would be great. Watching all of these athletes this weekend, especially Patrick Vellner as well, clawing his way back onto that podium, facing the adversity that he faces every single year, whether he puts himself in that place or not, ending up with like a 30th place in the first workout. Justin Medeiros like fighting for his life despite clearly struggling. and Roman as well. So many athletes fighting adversity, showing up despite what people might think, enjoying the experience, like Katrin when she was grinning doing those rope climbs even though she wasn't anywhere near the top in that workout, and Chandler Smith's massive comeback from a couple of really tough years, and also like Noah Olsen in his 10th year. It's been so lovely to see everybody like celebrate with their families at the finish line. I also saw a post from Amanda Barnhart, and she felt like she had to almost apologise for getting cut at 20th place, and she announced that her and her partner had adopted a 4-year-old boy this year, and it's completely messed with her sleep schedule and her training schedule, and that's one of the reasons why she didn't place as high as she wanted to. And she was like, I'm not making excuses. And I think it's so sad that people have to justify their lack of performance and say, oh, I'm not making excuses. Like, you're allowed you're allowed to have reasons. Any of you out there that have families, that have busy jobs, that work night shifts, that do stressful public service jobs like I used to do, we need to get rid of this horrible culture from PTs that are like, stop making excuses. And you're allowed to have reasons why things go a different way to the way you hoped. And having a child is a really big one. And things like that are so much more important than athletic performance for a lot of people. And on the other hand, for some people, they don't want that, and that's also okay. Something, I think it was Tommy Marquez said on a podcast recently about Mal O'Brien really struck me. He was like, whether she comes back or not, she's still worthy as a human being. We still respect her. She's still inspiring. Whatever she does from now, she's incredible, inspiring, and an awesome human. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, he didn't say all of that, but it was something like that. And like, that's the message we need, that all of these athletes are incredible for even getting to this level. The people that came 40th place are incredible athletes. The people that struggled to climb those ropes are incredible athletes. The people that competed at semis are incredible athletes. And anybody that ever puts themselves up for a competition, even if it is a scaled competition, even if it's an in-house competition in your gym, that is scary. It's super brave of you to do that, and you deserve all of the credit for doing that, as do all of these athletes. And that's something that we should really learn from it, is it's not always about the winning. It's about challenging yourself and pushing yourself and being proud of whatever you did on the day, whether that is getting a first place or pushing through some adversity that you didn't know was going to happen, or just attempting a movement that you know you're probably going to fail at. That's fucking brave. And anyone doing that should be proud of themselves. And also, I'm kind of proud of myself for making it the whole way to the CrossFit Games in America when I am from the UK, and I travelled this whole way on my own. And I have extreme anxiety and really bad anxiety in crowds. And I don't feel like it's really bravery. I feel like I just have something that's kind of missing that other people don't have. I'm just like, yeah, I want to do that, so I'm going to do it. And there's nothing that sort of gets in the way. I'm still scared and still anxious and still nervous doing all of it, but for some reason none of that stops me, and I think it's something that I was brought up with. But I'm super proud of myself for doing it, and having got back to the hotel and finally stopped, it's just kind of hit me the realization that I did that. And then I'm here in America on my own, and I'll be heading back in a couple of days, and it has been awesome, and that's one thing off my bucket list. And I will say as well, one of the main reasons that I wanted to come this year was because this is the last time that it's going to be in Madison, and for me, Madison is like the symbol of the CrossFit Games. I know it's been in other places, but the majority of the time I've been in CrossFit and watching CrossFit, Madison has kind of been that symbol, and I wanted to come before it went anywhere else. And me and my partner do want to start a family over the next couple of years, and obviously doing stuff like this would be a whole lot less possible, and a lot of things would become way more challenging, so I just wanted to do it before I step into that next chapter of my life. And if that does happen in the next couple of years, I plan to document that, my training, and how all of that affects me as well. I have been so homesick while I've been here. I've missed my dog and I've missed my partner, and as much as I've loved it, I can't wait to get home. And I've even missed the rain, because the sun here, I just don't get on with it. It's too hot. I'm too English. I need the rain again. I miss the smell of rain, which is very strange. I can't wait to get in the sea when I get back. So anyway, enough of me rambling. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog series, and I'll definitely be vlogging more when I'm back home. And I'm actually going to try and show more of my life in the UK, because I've realised a lot of you are from the US and other parts of the world, and clearly a couple of people here thought that I have had dinner with the Queen and live in a castle. So maybe I need to show more of my life to show that that's not true. And that I also had a couple of Uber drivers that assumed that I was wealthy and come from like generational wealth, maybe because of my accent. That is not true. I'm working class. Or like maybe like middle class at a push because I was a teacher, but yeah. I don't come from generational wealth. Maybe it would be interesting to you to see some of my British life and maybe show you that we don't just have like tea and crumpets for breakfast, etc. Anyway, I've been rambling again. Thank you to everybody that came up to me this weekend. It has absolutely blown me away. I cried so many times. You're amazing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.